Hey guys, it's Tim here from Lazy Wombat, and I'm going to be showing you today how to make animation. Use Spritesheets to make animations in Cocos2D-x. There's quite a lot of tutorials already existing for how to do this with Cocos2D, but when I came to doing it myself, I found that there wasn't a lot of resources, so I thought I'd just pop this up for you. So I should say from the beginning that this tutorial assumes you've previously been able to set up a Cocos2D-x project with XCode and just get a basic project up and running. If you haven't done that, there's plenty of resources online. raywenderlich.com has some good tutorials that can get you up to speed on this. And also, here we go. And also, I would recommend checking out the wiki page on Cocos2D-x.org. There's plenty of resources here on how to set up a new project on multiple platforms and how to add basic sprites and do some basic stuff. I'm also going to be using TexturePacker to pack the textures and create the sprite sheets for this tutorial. If you want to follow it along, you can go to TexturePacker if you don't have it already and download it from the link here and choose your operating system. Obviously, if you've already got it, then no problem. If you're using a different texture packing software, the concept is very similar, so you can pretty much adapt it to anything. So anyway, let's get started. So once you've got your basic project set up, I've just got a very simple default Hello World project straight out of the box from Cocos2D-x here, and I'm going to be adding the logic to do the sprite sheets and create the sprite animation within an onEnter function, which is called when the scene itself is first entered. Anyway, let's jump straight into TexturePacker. Here you'll see that I've got the animation that I'm going to be using already imported. You can do this if you've already got your folder set up just by simply dragging it in like so. Since I've already done that, I'm not going to release the mouse there, but that's basically how you get that set up. The next thing you want to do once you've done that is you want to browse to where you're going to save your plist file. Since I've already set this up, I don't have to show you, but in case you're wondering, I'm popping it straight into my resources folder, and I'm naming it Goober-HD because I'm also going to be scaling this down so that it can be used both as on a Retina device and on a standard device. So just put in the name, whatever name you want, -HD for the time being, and hit save. As soon as you've done that, you won't see it here, but it will also automatically put your texture file to the same directory. Now you've almost finished at this point. The next thing you have to do is just click on this Auto SD gear icon, and from the drop down you want to select the top one if it's not already selected and just hit apply. And that's it, we're done. There's various other options you can play around with if you like, but we're not going to be going into that in this tutorial. After you've done all that, just hit publish and TexturePacker will do its thing and hit OK and you're done. Next step, you want to copy in those files that you've just copied, that you just created from TexturePacker. So again, you want to be going into the folder that you've just copied your resources into, and you'll see here the plist file and the actual image itself, and also a lower res version of the exported sprite sheet. Now, to copy it straight in, it's the same as copying any image or any resource into XCode. You just select them all and drag it across. Now XCode is going to ask you if you want to add them to the destination groups folder. I just normally keep those default and hit finish. And you'll see here we've now got all the resources in. Now I should notice if you see this red, I should note, sorry, that if you see these red characters, it's because I'm using a free version of TexturePacker. you're more than welcome to purchase it. But for the time being, I'm just using a free version. Once you've bought it, that'll disappear. Great. So now you're pretty much ready. You just have to type in the correct code and get the logic working to display it on the device. Just in case you're wondering, if I was to run it right now, we wouldn't get much. We'd just get a blank screen, blank white screen, because I'm using a CC layer with color. We should get a blank white screen once it's loaded. There we go. Nothing on there at the moment, but we're about to change all of that. So, first step, we want to create a CC Sprite frame cache object. So let's do that. And it's a pointer to this because we're going to be using the shared Sprite frame cache. Shared Sprite frame cache. Great, so now we've got a pointer to that object. We can, first step, we're basically adding all of the Sprite frames from this plist file. You'll see that we've got just the names of the images, and if you drag that down, these are actual coordinates within this image. If you can sort of imagine a rectangle there, that's coordinates for where to pull the image out from. So we're specifying, at the moment we're just going to load in this plist file, which Cocos2D-x will just cache in all of the names which are specified in here. So Goober 1 all the way to Goober 16. Okay. So we do that quite easily. Just add Sprite frames with file, and then we just type in the name, which we're going to be doing. We're going to be using, I think it's just goober.plist, isn't it? Yeah. There we go. Okay, so once that's done, we then create a CC Sprite batch node. And this is the actual sprite sheet that we're going to be adding to the canvas, and then we're going to add the actual sprites. Now this time we're actually going to be pointing to the image itself, so the goober.png image. As specified with the file image. What's going on there? And then we're just going to add it to the stage. I'll add it to the display list anyway. Okay, great. So far we've added to the frame cache all the frame names from the plist, and we've created a batch node Spritesheet from the image itself and added it. Next thing we need to do is we need to iterate through all of the frames, all the frame names, and pull a frame out from the cache, and we can then use that frame to create an animation which we can then run. So to do this, we're first going to create an array which is going to hold all of our frames. I'm just going to call this Goober frames. And then through using a very basic, should be capital A there. Now we're just going to do a very quick for loop. Going from 1. Now the next bit is we want to be doing up to how many frames we have. So you want to go into your plist file and you want to see you're going from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up to 16. So we want to say less than or equal to 16 and then increase. Now inside the for loop, we're going to create a string, which is the file name, or it's going to be the pointer to the actual name of the frame in here. To do that, we're going to create a string with a format. Now we know the format of the string already, so we know it's going to be goober. That's the name of this here. And then depending on the number being iterated on, the I value, we want to pass that in and then get a value out. So to do that, we just %d.png, I. Now once we've done that, we want to pull out, as I mentioned before, we want to pull out the actual frame from the cache using the file name that we've got here. That's pretty straightforward. There's a function within the shared sprite frame cache to do this for us. So first off, we want to create a sprite frame pointer. And again, we're accessing the sprite frame cache, shared sprite frame cache. And we're going to use the sprite frame by name function, pass in the file name, which at the moment is a CC string, but because the sprite frame by name accepts I think it's a constant character, yeah. So there's a function within CC string which can do this for us, and it's get C string. Okay, so gosh, done that. Now once we've done that, just add in the new CC sprite frame into our array. Add object frame. And now we've got all of the sprite frames out from the cache and stored into this array. So the next step, we need to create a CC animation from this array. Again, pretty straightforward. Create a CC animation pointer. Now I'm going to be calling this run anim because the character that we've got is running. You can call it whatever you want, but yeah. Now we're going to be using create with sprite frames and passing in the array object containing all of our frames. And we're also going to put in an amount of 0.1, which basically is the time between each frame, time to move in between each frame. You can put whatever you want in here. 0.1 seems to work quite well for this, but again, you can play around with your own. Once we've done that, we create a CC sprite of the actual goober object itself, or the first anim that's going to be displayed before the anim actually runs. And we're going to be running the action of this animation within this object. So we have to create this here. Again, we're going to create with a sprite frame name, which essentially create with sprite frame name. Now this will basically just pull out the name of a recognized frame name that we've passed in here from the frame cache. So excuse me, we already know one of them. The first one is going to be goober1.png. What's going on there? I've missed something here. Not sure what's going on here. It's just me being confused. I'm just going to pause this second and work out what's going on. Oh, sorry, I was using the wrong function here. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so it's create with sprite frame name. Now once we've done that, we can set the actual position of the sprite to the center of the window. You probably would have seen this done quite a few times, but it's no different here. So we want to be accessing CC director, shared director, get win size, and CC, or any CC sprite which extends from CC node has functions to set position, and we can use CCP here to do that. So win size dot width times 0.5, that'll get the middle of the window. Win size dot height times 0.5, that's the middle of the window in the Y direction. Now we're almost done at this point. We just need to create a running action, or just a CC action, which we can then run on the sprite itself. So CC action. Now we want this to repeat forever. If you didn't want to, you could just create the standard animate bit, which will come up in a bit. Now I'm going to create a new CC animate using the run anim and passing in the run anim that we created earlier here from the frames. So animate, create, run anim. Okay. Now, once we've created the action that will repeat forever, this animation up here. Again, as I mentioned, if you didn't want it to run forever, you could just quite easily just pop that into this action here. Next stage, we just run the action on the CC Sprite object. Run action, action. And finally, we add the sprite that we're running the action to the sprite sheet that we created earlier and added to the display list. So sprite sheet, add child, and that's about it. Now we're ready to test it out. So let's run it. Hopefully we shouldn't have any errors. Just wait for it while it does this. Here we go. And there we go. There he is running along happily. So you can see what I mean from earlier when I mentioned we've got the red frames in here, and that's them being displayed here, you see, every occasional one. Well, that's about it. I hope you've learned something. I hope you'll be able to take from this and use it in your own project. Feel free to ask me any questions if you're having any problems getting things set up. Otherwise, thanks for watching.